Other than cheating, what secret do you keep from your so to prevent upsetting them? My wife is a huge animal lover, volunteered at local shelters and such before our kids were born. One night years ago she was leaving work and outside the front door, she found a small bird, probably a sparrow, on the sidewalk. It didn't run or fly away so she assumed it was hurt. She ran back inside, got a box, and searched online for a bird rescue and found one about 20 to 30 minutes away. She drove the bird there, dropped it off, and they took her information because they said they would send her a card as a thank you. This was at least 6 or 7 years ago and she still brings it up every so often and remembers that they never sent that card. They did send the card thanking her for bringing the bird in for help. The card also said they euthanized the bird because it had broken bones in its wing, maybe from being hit by a car in the parking lot. I read it and crammed the card deep into the trash because I didn't want her to get upset that the bird she tried so hard to help had to be euthanized. Edit. Whoa. My first gold. Thanks, kind stranger. My ex-girlfriend had a few too many shots of tequila in a party and passed out on the couch. When I went to check her, I noticed she pissed all over the couch. To avoid embarrassments, I filled up a bucket with water and threw it over her to disguise it as a prank. I'm that kind of boyfriend. She still has no idea. Edit. Typo. Also, thanks for the gold, the silver and the love, guys. Several years ago one of our outside cats went missing. My wife's favorite. She was pretty upset. I had actually found the cat that morning and discovered what had actually happened to it. The facts and circumstances leading to its death would upset her tremendously. She still thinks to this day the cat was taken by a rogue coyote or something when in reality, she had incidentally backed over it in the darkness of morning when leaving for work. I've never been able to bring myself to tell her and never will. I felt awful for her. I even feel awful telling the internet about it now and it's been years. Obligatory edit. Thank you all for the great replies and discussions. And gold and silver. I've not been able to keep up as it's dinner and bedtime for the family. I appreciate everyone's condolences and support. It's been enjoyable reading people's comments and replies. Some of the common questions and comments I am getting answered here. The cat was a barn cat. We keep them as mouses in the tack and feed areas to keep mice away. We take good care of them and they are vaccinated and treated the same as our indoor cat. Singular. Lol. They all have names and serve a purpose on our farm. Though admittedly they don't live as long, I understand. My wife was driving a diesel farm truck at the time. I honestly don't think she felt anything at all. It was super dark and early in the morning. My wife doesn't even know what Reddit is. She's not internet savvy. I'm not worried about it. I try not to use names or specifics as that is my standard internet practice. My username has nothing to do with anything related to IRL. It's a false name based on an inside joke with a gaming friend. My boyfriend loves to show me memes, funny posts that he thinks I would find really funny, but I spend more time online than he does. So I've usually seen them well before he shows me. Every so often I pretend I haven't yet seen a post just so he gets the satisfaction of being the first to show me. His favorite dip is like 80% mayo. He has a terrible aversion to mayo. His mom has made it when he's not been around his whole life. And now I continue the charade. It's a really good dip. Edit. Thank you for the silver. Also, I did not expect this to blow up. My husband is totally gonna find out now, lol. Recipe. 0.5 cup sour cream. 1.5 cup mayonnaise. 2 tablespoons dried dill weed. 2 tablespoons dried minced onion. 1 tablespoon dried parsley. 1 teaspoon garlic powder. 1/8 teaspoon salt. Mix everything together. Chill for 30 minutes. Longer is better. Serve in a hollowed out pumpernickel bread bouli with the removed bits pulled into smallish pieces. Eater, I have confessed. He knew but was in denial. The first Christmas after I got together with my partner, he brought me a beautiful opal necklace. He knew it was my favorite stone. I suspect he paid quite a bit. He's mad proud of the thing and loves to see me wear it. He told me that when he brought it he paid for a slightly smaller opal, and a shop worker accidentally grabbed the wrong one so he got an upgrade to a bigger opal for free. My partner also has a whole thing against fake stones in jewelry. Thinks it tacky, horrible, dishonest etc. Long story short, What he doesn't realize is that my beautiful opal is fake. See, I suspect he paid for a real opal, but he probably wasn't meant to see that ops when the shop worker grabbed a bigger one. I suspect they ran a little con on him, charged him for a smaller real one and grabbed the larger fake instead. He thought the accident was in his favor, so he never complained. I only know one. The play of color and size in the opal I have would have cost a small house deposit if it had been real, and there is no way he brought that as a uni student when we first go together, and 2. A real opal would never have stood up to the wear and tear I have put it though. I literally never take it off. It comes for me on runs, in the salt water, in the shower, etc. All things that would have destroyed a real opal many years ago. 3. A friend brought a pair of earrings that matched my necklace, not on purpose, and she confirmed that my necklace and her earrings made up the store's imitation opal birthstone set. I love that ducking stone. I don't wear much jewelry, but I haven't taken that necklace off in 3 years. I have literally told him that if we get married one day, I'm having the thing pulled off the necklace and set into a ring. That's gonna be an awkward conversation with a jeweler. If I told him, he'd probably feel really bad about it and want to get me a replacement. But I love the stupid thing, so I won't tell. Not me, but my parents. If my mom wants to hide literally anything from my dad, no matter what it is, she just puts it somewhere where he would have to bend over to see it. Doesn't matter if it's something like a package of Oreos. If my dad has to bend over to find it, he's never going to find it. I've tested it with my own snacks when I was still living with them to confirm it works. He'd be mad if he knew how many snacks we'd hidden from him simply because he doesn't bend over low enough to see it in the cabinet. When my girlfriend was pregnant, she liked to take baths every night before bedtime. Every now and again, I'd join her and enjoy that relaxing hot water. One day we are both sitting in the tub when she farted a big nasty fart. She and I both laughed and I gave her it for possibly breaking the tub. Then there it was. I notice a few brown things in the water. Turns out she had pooed a little. I was so absolutely disgusted that I nearly vomited. I didn't want to freak out because I know she would feel absolutely terrible and impossibly embarrassed. So I turned the jets on, did some bubbles, and sat there with her for another 10-15 minutes. Afterwards I suggested that we both shower off because I had added too much soap for bubbles. I still think about those poop chunks floating around next to me whenever I take a bath. Edit. My highest upvoted first gilded comment is about jetting it particles around the tub while my girlfriend and I enjoyed a bubble bath. Thank you, Reddit. My wife once did the joke, "Why did the chicken cross the road to get to the idiot's house? Knock knock. Who's there?" The chicken. Over text with me. I fell for it because I knew it would make her happy. She loves talking about how she got me and it makes her so happy I can't bring myself to tell her I was the one who told her the joke in the first place. Few years ago my wife lost her grandfather, was working a RedditJar job, and was developing some of the medical issues we're currently dealing with. One night I went out to start her car to warm it up before her shift, and found a parking ticket, pocketed it, paid it, and tossed it without her knowing. She didn't need that on top of everything else. I suppose this deserves an edit at this point, since it's now my highest rated comment. Thank you for the gold, and especially thank you all for the kind words. I don't consider myself a great husband, but I try, and it's things like this that I hope help make a difference for her. I hope everyone else can find the happiness they need as well. I feel really bad about how much money he spends on me, food, gifts, gas money, and he refuses to let me pay him back, so sometimes I slip $5 and $10 bills into his wallet, pockets, and dresser drawers for him to find. If he gives me his card to go into stores to buy something, I use mine instead and don't tell him. He'd be really sad if he found out because he loves taking care of me. My ex used to read me chapters from whatever book he was reading at the time. It was usually me that initiated it, mostly because it felt so warm and intimate, but also because I knew he had dyslexia and dysgraphia as a child, so it would give him a little boost of confidence. But this also meant he was actually really terrible at reading stories. I'm talking pure monotone. It made any book extremely boring, and I would cuddle up next to him so I could see it and read it in my head as he read. But I like to think the good outweighed the bad, and I never told him. Occasionally I hide bananas then make them reappear when they are brown just so she will make banana bread. Look, you bought these bananas and no one ate them so they're brown. I'm not about to waste these, so why don't you make some banana bread or something? I always watch ahead in Game of Thrones. They talk during each episode, and I can tolerate it better if I've already seen the episode. I knew he was going to propose. The man is so easy to read. He's my open book. I love that about him. He wears all his emotions on his face. He'll plan a trip for my birthday months in advance but then be so excited and proud about surprising me that he has to tell me straight away or make me guess where we're going. He's not so cracking at surprises. So he's always so proud of himself that he surprised me that one time. And that I had no idea. Except I did. I heard him talking to his granddad about the ring and saw the heart-shaped lump in his pocket. Plus he'd been talking about marriage all the time thinking he was being sly. I'll take it to the grave. It honestly makes him so happy and he'd be so disappointed with himself if he thought he'd given it away. God, I love that man. My wife has a beautiful heart. I jokingly call her a Disney princess because any animal that she comes across she has to talk to and greet. She has cried by seeing a dead raccoon on the side of the road before. At the time, I was working day shift and she was working a swing shift. I had a busy day, but I saw she sent me some pictures of a young doe that was eating in our front yard. She seemed thrilled. I came home and saw the same deer, dead, on my goddamned porch. I felt like I started to hear the first 48 theme playing as I realized I have 6 hours to get rid of this thing before my wife gets home and her world is shattered. I call my local city authorities thinking they wouldn't want a dead animal in the middle of town. Turns out, they couldn't care less. I called some local raptor shelters to see if they could take a stat donation, but it turns out the dead deer business is booming and they didn't have a need for donations at this time. Especially in the next 6 hours. Frustrated, I call my dad to vent and get advice on what to do. His response is only a "hold on bud, I'll be there in 15 minutes. I go back inside to take care of the dogs and within the next 15 minutes I see me dad back his huge truck into my backyard. Has the tailgate down and is knocking on my door with a pair of nitrile gloves on and another pair in hand for me. It was starting to get dark out, but we had that thing loaded up and found a special place to dispose it. We made it back with 20 minutes to spare before my wife got home. I haven't told my wife because I think it would either break her heart or creep her out at how efficiently my dad can dump a body. Anyway, Whiffy thinks her dear friend is alive and well, and totally not at the bottom of a ravine. I took a girlfriend with me on a vacation to Hawaii. First thing we did when we hit the Airbnb was shower off. It's a long flight. I'm washing her down and as I was washing her ass I noticed she's left a huge stain on this wash rag. I'm disgusted, but I love her so I clean her up and hide the rag so she doesn't find out. Later that night, I wake up and do a secret load of laundry so she never knows. The first piece of jewelry I bought my wife was a necklace. We went on holiday and she lost it. I said I would replace it but it wasn't the same. She was upset that she'd lost it for sentimental reasons. I emailed the hotel and of course they hadn't found it. So I bought a replacement and told my wife they found it. My girlfriend moved in with me a few months ago and wanted to split the monthly bills. I was already covering all of it so I was okay just continuing that way, but she was insistent. She's also not making too much, so instead of telling her the real amount, I told her a lower, but still believable amount to pay. It isn't much, but I feel a little better knowing that she's saving up a bit more every month than she would have otherwise. Thank you all for the kind words and the great advice. She's definitely marriage material. I'm shopping for the ring now. That's where a good amount of the extra money has been going. The rest of the money is definitely going towards a down payment. As for hurt feelings and sharing responsibilities, if she ever found out, she'd understand and appreciate the gesture. She's in her last year of school with a nice job lined up for afterwards already, so we can always revisit finances later. Either way, she's amazing, so I don't think she'd take it poorly. Edit 2. Never thought I'd get a chance to say this, but thanks for the gold. How much her apartment cleaning service costs. My best friend growing up, practically my brother, owns a cleaning service, so I get the owner's rate. They clean my house for $60 visit. which is insanely cheap here. When I first met my girlfriend, at some point in conversation it came up that I use a cleaning service, and she joked, "Oh, Big Shot pays other people to clean his house." So I told her how. Fortunately for me, it's not really a big expense. Fast forward a month or so, and she spent like a whole Friday night and Saturday cleaning. We both work a ton during the week, so I was like, "I'll pay for your cleaning service so we have more time to spend together on weekends." She wouldn't let me pay for it, but asked me to sign her up with my friend's service. And she just gives me the $60 or pays for some common expense in that range. Thing is, I couldn't get the owner's rate for her, so it's really like $150 visit. She loves having a cleaning service and appreciates having more free time, but she wouldn't pay $150 for it. I don't really care about the money, just want her to be happy, so I don't tell her what it costs. When I see bugs in the apartment, I always tell my wife it was only one bug so she doesn't get scared. Then I kill the bugs. Edit. My apartment has had roaches since we moved in, but I didn't realize they were roaches or that it was a problem, so it's only been recently that our complex has been working with us and pest control to get rid of them. You basically have to deep clean the kitchen every night or they come out. Even if they don't come out, they're there somewhere. So far it seems like they're contained to the kitchen. But if this keeps up another month while we're trying to do everything we can and pest control is coming every week, we're moving. E2, this turned from "You're so nice and sweet for doing that" to the armchair roach expert hour after my first edit, and I don't mind one bit. Every single one of those little bastards deserves to die, and I'm taking your advice to heart. How much it hurt that she did not do anything for my 50th birthday. We are born almost a year apart. This year for her 49th I took her on a cruise and signed her up for a scuba excursion, which she has always wanted to do. She loved it, of course. Her 50th is next January. I started planning for it since June. I have contacted old friends from high school and family to get a bunch of them to go on a cruise for her 50th. It was going to be a surprise, but someone let it slip at Christmas. When she found out, I figured she would do something for my 50th since she never does anything for any of my birthdays. Nope. Got me a store-made cake. I always pee in the shower, every single time she's not there with me. I mentioned it once kind of half joking and she was so disgusted. But I don't see the harm, so I never stopped. The remote didn't disappear. I accidentally put it through the washing machine and destroyed it and threw it out in a panic. I go to the 24 fitness every night after she falls asleep. In my defense, a guy can only lounge around in his sweatpants watching Netflix with his woman so much. I am not quite ready to fade into middle age yet. How deeply I hate Big Bang Theory. My husband is a massive fan of the show. From being purely nerded to a poor facsimile of Friends, he's been following it from the start. Now with young Sheldon he's found another reason to cackle madly along to another terrible laugh track. And I will sit beside him, madly cackling as well, because it just makes him so damn happy. Sheldon can die in a dumpster fire, but I'll burn with him before I tell my husband how badly the show sucks. Not me, but my father-in-law has a good one. My in-laws tried to get pregnant for years. They had 6 or 7 miscarriages, but kept trying. Finally they got pregnant. Everything was looking great. Mill goes into labor early, delivers the baby. They rush it out of the room and into the NICU. He dies 15 minutes later. My mother-in-law still thinks she had a stillborn child. After this they get back to work, have 2 healthy kids. Then a few years later have an oops baby when a medication reacts with BC pills. 3 healthy kids after way more work than I would have ever been willing to do to have kids. My so got me a beautiful necklace for our 1-year anniversary. It says love in 100 languages when you shine a light through it. He was so excited to give it to me and so pleased he'd gotten me such a good, romantic present. The only problem was that my best friend had been given an identical necklace from her boyfriend on her birthday a week prior. He had no way of knowing and was so happy to get me such a unique gift that my friend and I just coordinate so we never wear them at the same time. I contacted the DVLA about her aunt, who then got a letter saying she needed to be assessed before being allowed to drive. She's 83. I think she clearly has the beginnings of dementia. She stops if she has to go past a lorry, can't see in the dark, and has no peripheral vision. I personally didn't think she should be in charge of a high-speed chunk of metal. The whole family was so angry that someone betrayed them. But I've convinced them that sometimes DRs have to contact DVLA if someone has a specific medical condition and it's probably an automated thing and not personal. They seem to believe me. She reads my comments, so my very act of posting in this thread is going to result in a crabby text in an hour or two. Hi Katie, edit, as predicted. I tell him that I'm not worried and he shouldn't worry either, and I feel 100% confident that the 5.5-inch mass on my adrenal gland is benign. The reality is I have no idea and I'm scared shitless. The biopsy is in 5 days. We have 2 children. 1 year for Christmas. She was trying to surprise me with something, but I hate surprises. I was out of a job at the time and didn't want anything extreme because I knew I couldn't return the favor. I told myself I wouldn't snoop. Just ask a few questions and express that I didn't want anything big BC poor. She decided to try and casually ask me if I was still interested in a concert for my favorite band. And I immediately knew. Her face gave it away. I knew she got tickets, but it was more. She got us meet and greet tickets. And I found out a few days later after her face kept giving it away. Christmas came and I was right. But I didn't need to act. I was really happy. It was an amazing gift. And we had an amazing time. She was so proud of herself for pulling it off without telling me. I'll never tell her I knew. Just because she was so happy. I use that hand towel in the bathroom that I'm not supposed to use and feign ignorance when questioned. I think his teeth are really gross. Of course I love him no matter what and he's perfect the way he is. But I wish he would take a little more pride in his appearance and oral health. His parents spent a lot of money fixing his teeth when he was a kid, and he's neglected them for so long that he'll eventually need thousands of dollars in repairs done. I don't think he's even been to the dentist in 10 years. Beyond the health issues, he just doesn't think the appearance of his teeth matters. As itty as it sounds, it matters a lot. He is terrified of bees, wasps. They are all bees to him. Completely terrified. Just the word bee will get him to start nervously looking around. If he was driving the car and a bee got in the window, I'd be afraid for my safety because there is a solid chance he'd accidentally crash. He is very embarrassed about his fear though. He knows it's irrational. He can't seem to help it. So I have developed a sixth sense about the presence of bees. If we're outside and I see one buzzing around, I'll make sure I either stand in his way so he can't see it, or I'll make an excuse for him to go inside. I've found wasps' nests in and around our house, and I take them out while he's at work and then never say a word about it. If a wasp comes around and he sees it, he'll run away, but then I'll hunt it down and kill it so when he comes back out, he can have the peace of mind of seeing its corpse from a distance. He doesn't know that I've been on 24/7 bee patrol for him for the past 3 years. I'm afraid he'd feel humiliated if he knew, and maybe even get depressed about it. But I don't mind. They're just wasps and honeybees. Lol. So misuses words oh so a lot. I'm a language guy. I get the feeling that that is a soft spot on her that previous partners poked pretty hard. So I just internally cringe and say nothing about it. I usually know what she's trying to say. I aborted one of our babies and said I miscarried. My ex was very abusive and had began abusing the baby we had. I couldn't risk another being abused. My current weight. We are both dieting together and I tend to lose weight much faster than her. I don't want to discourage her if I've lost 2x as much weight in the same amount of time. Edit. I'm aware that it is usually easier for men to lose weight for physiological reasons. I just don't bring up my weight loss. It's more lying by omission. Spiders. She hates them with a passion, and if I find one crawling around when she isn't around, I'll take it outside and never tell her. If one is nearby and she knows, I have to squish them as if they killed my dog. That I secretly love his dog. The dog came with him, and he came completely untrained and full of bad habits from living with his parents. He'd never owned a dog before and had no idea what he was doing with a puppy, and I felt the need to step in for my sake and the dog's sake. That duckhead was a doozy. I'm a lifelong dog owner and I've never encountered a dog more difficult to train. He ducking it on the floor when he's upset about something. And he'll intentionally wait until everyone is asleep to do it, or he'll sneak into a side room. When he was neutered, he ate on the floor at least twice a day for almost a month. He's always been super defiant and I had to bend over backwards to make him a decent dog. My so thinks I hate him because I spent so much time lamenting how much of an asshole he is and how hard he was to train. Joke's on him. That good old boy jumps up and spoons with me the instant the so goes to work. I was stuck with my ex-partner for a long time because although I wasn't happy and wanted to leave but couldn't, as she told me if I ever did she would kill herself, I was committed to making her happy. Never told her that I was depressed. She was severely autistic and required a certain amount of attention. She had a strict schedule where I'd have to stay in bed with her. No TV, no phone, and just cuddle and talk until 10 PM every night. If I didn't, she would have a severe panic attack. Sometimes even if I did, she would have won because I was leaving her even though we lived together and I would only be a room away. This would happen extremely frequently and I had to do everything for her or again. Panic attacks. When I told her I needed a bit of space, she said she would give it me, but she never did. Eventually she found some messages of me breaking down to a friend about how I felt and how I felt trapped and unhappy. We broke up. She then threatened me with suicide. Thankfully she was bluffing and faked self-harm. Found a vial of fake blood and gauze in her bag that she had left at mine. I checked it cause we had an argument and wanted to make sure she hasn't left valuables. Suddenly brought the panic attacks to question too. Very convenient she had them whenever she didn't get her way. Moral of the story is don't bottle anything up and don't keep secrets. Although their feelings are important, so are yours. Feelings and secrets will eat you up over time. Don't not tell them. If SE's worth it, SE will understand. Worst case, you tell them and you lose them, but if they can't understand, they're not the person you think they are and it's not worth it anyway. If they do understand, your relationship will be better for it. If I had been honest with my feelings, I would have saved myself 2 years of feeling suffocated and miserable. Sorry if I went off track, just offloading a bit lol.